Hey everybody, this is Carlos Ocelot, founder and CEO of G2 Esports, former professional gamer, and wonderful bodybuilder, as you may have known. Of course, you know me for that, pretty sure. And you're watching Dankan's channel. Thorin, my man. Enjoy.
Right, this is going to be another episode of Strat Book, my show with LEGIJA, where we go deep on Counter-Strike philosophy, in-game leading, coaching. What's funny is, I'm pretty sure when we announced this show, one of the reasons I was actually up for doing it, LEGIJA, is because what people don't know is, all the idiot fans who just post on Reddit and Twitter are always like, you don't know anything about the game. You are just making jokes. Whereas what they don't know is that's actually called being a good teammate. Like, if I've got Yanko or fucking Sponge next to me, people who basically live and breathe, the tactical side of the game, why am I going to be the one talking about the tactics? That would be like someone having some midfielder having Messi in front of me. He's like, I think I'll take all the shots, mate. Get out the way. I'm dribbling through. It's like, no, you just fucking pass to the guy who's the best scorer, don't you? These guys don't get it. So I think this show, people are going to see there's a different kind of depth you can go to, and what they don't know is, the funny thing is, you normally only have these kinds of conversations. It's like the second beer at the after party when it's like some guy you haven't talked to in Counter-Strike, and it's like there's always people you want to chop it up with, know what's going on with their team, how do they think about it. But the problem is, you have all these amazing conversations, and then it's just gone to history, isn't it? You wake up in the morning, there was no recording, thankfully. And, at least for you, LEGIJA, you might be in trouble, mate, if some of these calls were recorded. No, so anyway, our guests for this one, maLeK, obviously of G2. Now, here's the thing, right? People probably think, because G2's not the greatest team right now, they're having some issues in terms of performances, people probably think I'm going to flame maLeK now, but actually they don't know. As someone who considers himself a connoisseur of French CSGO, I've watched it since the very beginning, I've known all the in-game leaders, most of the veteran players, especially once they all start to speak English and kind of be more social and stuff. I actually know, maLeK, that you must be a fucking miracle worker, mate, because the team that you came into when it was still the all-French lineup, when it was the one with shox and Kenny and maLeK and those, that was a lineup where, dude, people didn't even have hype for that. People were just like, right, well, kennyS wasn't that great at the time. shox is supposed to, at the time, have been washed up completely. Maybe they sort of cared a little bit about maLeK from when he was in the Misfits team. No one knew Jax. They were just like, what the fuck's this old guy doing here? And then, and obviously you even used to have MBK, but in this scenario, what was it like coming into this team? Because I've heard, basically, that in the French scene, I know it's different now, but they had no respect for coaches. They really did think a coach is a guy who stands behind you and just goes "Oui." That's why they let Smiths do it for a year, just for a salary, So was the French scene in a place where they didn't get the concept of coaching? Did they not respect it? What was it like when he came in?
If I want to keep it short, I think the first thing I should say is that the French scene had a very gold period, with some kind of players. So you can name them, it's always the same, shox and BK, all the guys that decide about the scene, basically. Yes. And they had so much power, so much success through the years. And then the French scene got a bit lower now with the levels and everything. Yes. And all the other teams and the professionalism was growing up very fast. So that was lacking a lot. And when they woke up and realized they were just washed up compared to other countries that were far ahead of them, making the transition and realizing that was the solution was just to grow up as professionals and having help from outside and everything. It just took time. So when I arrived in NV, first of all, I was not so experienced on CSGO, which is also something that wasn't easy. What I was with me, it's I was knowing all the guys, I was playing with them. I was the team captain and in-game leader back in the days, and I was playing with APK, shox, Scream,
right?
All these guys. Actually, I said no to kennyS. I remember I gave him a try, and actually,
you're right. This kid will never make it. He's shit, and he's overrated.
I was like, bro, he's not legit. Okay. He never did the LAN.
All right.
Carrying, but that was so, his play style. Imagine this guy.
Yes, of course.
It was just all over the place.
It's like with Ziwu, when people kept saying, people thought Ziwu was a cheater. It's like, I would. If I saw that guy playing and someone tells me he's 16 years old, I'd assume he's a cheater, of course.
Yeah, so because of that, actually, you have to know that 3 months later, he was beating me because he was on Very Games, by the way.
Right.
So, okay. But anyway, let's forget this part. But anyway, it took a little while. But I really think that the last 2 years, I mean, that was fine. Like internally, like all the players, even the whole like proper players, like everyone who understood that it was okay to give the keys to management,
Right.
and just to try to focus more on their job, working, understanding what other people are doing around. So I really think it's the case since the last 2 years, and I think it's improving that direction.
Because that's one area, like, I don't know how much you know about French CS in terms of, like, this cultural aspect, LEGIJA, but that's one area where, like, German Counter-Strike was always way ahead. Like, you guys understood the concept of, like, you have to have a structure and you have to follow the thing. Like, as he's saying there, the French scene, partly because with that loose style, they won those majors and they had some amazing success, obviously, and some of the best players. Their scene was the worst I've ever seen for star players, just having total control. Like, that's why it really was like, it wasn't like they, as a team, decided. It was like, right, NBK hates this guy, so he's not in a team with him, right? shox doesn't want to play with this guy. So, like, so it was just like, it's like that can have a place. Obviously, you want your stars and your big names to have input, but they went too far. And the worst thing is, like, I don't know if people remember this story, but there's like a classic interview that Happy did, which was right after they'd had all that amazing success and won those majors, where he made some sort of comment where he said in an interview, like, you know, I broke the meta of Counter-Strike. And the reason why that was so pivotal is because right after that is basically when his teams went downhill. And so unfortunately, it's an example of where what gets you to the top, if you just keep doing it forever, you're gonna go down again, like, because someone else is going to do the next innovation, or, you know, they're gonna find the counter to what you do. So like what has it been as an outsider, LEGIJA? What have you always thought about French CS? I've wondered what the German scene thinks of them, actually.
Obviously, they proved themselves with this MB lineup. They won the major. Cologne, it was, I think. DreamHack, yes, they lost Cologne to Fnatic, I think, in the final.
They lost the final.
But yeah, I always was, like, personally, obviously, a huge fan of kennyS and shox, and I personally think that both of them were, in their roles, the best players in the world. You could debate maybe shox with Get-Right at the start of the time, but they were very, very close head-to-head. And
what do you think about this angle of, like, star players having too much say and stuff?
I think it's in every scene kind of like that. It was also in the German scene like that. I mean, I said it, I think, in one of our last interviews or shows, where I said that we personally, from Big back then, also, we didn't really respect the lower tier players from the German scene, just because there was only one German team, maybe Sprout, the second team back then, Penta, that was really playing on a higher level. So you kind of don't really respect these people. I think it's a stupid thing, and also I think it backfired or backlashed the German scene, which obviously us as the best team back then should be trying to help the German scene evolve, instead of, like, being these dickheads pretty much and not helping really the other players. But yeah, I personally think it's in pretty much every country like that. Also in Sweden, I think it's the same thing. Do I think it's good? Obviously not. I think it's kind of securing your own job or a place. You don't want to give another person a shot, for example, to play on your team, or try to help him, because in the end, he's kind of a threat for you.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So I think there's a little bit of that as well in there.
Right.
But
yeah, go on.
No, like, I just, while he was speaking, I was wondering, like, I think it's the same with Brazil, it's the same with German scene, it's the same with, what about Swedish Counter-Strike for a while, French scene for sure. Somehow Denmark managed to do
They're kind of the outlier,
they still have a team, but the teams just underneath could, like, manage themselves. I don't really know, maybe it's not the same thing. One thing that is a lot helping a country, if the best teams and the best players are not doing it for the scene, it's having, like, a country with a lot of LANs. And I know that in Denmark, there is a lot of LAN events, local events. It's very alive. The scene is very, very alive, and I think it's actually having a huge impact. And why the French scene had actually this gold period, because the numbers of players and events in France when CSS was there, 1.6 and, like, merging onto CSGO, that was a period of time when French esports was very strong. You could go to a LAN event every weekend, all year long, and fighting to to be the best, and the banter was insane between the in-game leaders, and you had to prove yourself. And even though you would not find this on your list of things from history, Thorin, because of the smaller little events, well, we were fighting, punching each other, and for these reasons, the best and the scene could grow up, and then CS:GO arrive, and then you have shox, Smith, RPK, blah 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 blah, all of them, just coming in right timing and doing what they did. Like for me, there is two options to make a scene real life. It's either like, as you said, LEGIJA, it's like the bigger team will give exposure, having a look on the prospects and like helping each other and everything. That's a way. And I think nowadays it's most likely what we can do. Yes. And back in the days, bro, that was just having a scene being alive, competing. And you have to notice these young kids. They are coming on LAN events. You go as a mix yourself, and they are slapping your ass this weekend. Next month, you go again, LEGIJA. You are this nice player, and this fucking kid is slapping your face again. You're like, bro, you have to pay attention to him, like for sure. And that was like this back in the days. And I think really like professional CS is great. I'm a bit of this boomer guy, like almost 35 years old, but bro, I've been growing up in this CS, bro, and every weekend you were fighting on LAN, and like every 3 months seeing a new face and giving respect to this guy because he was slapping your ass, bro. That was how it was. Like, we miss it, I think, actually, a bit.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, one thing, I actually didn't know that, maLeK, because again, one of the downsides of the French scene is, aside from the famous players who've all, like, you know, they're all comfortable now speaking English and been to so many after parties, the problem actually with a lot of the coaching scene is, like, I mean, listen, I don't think I'm like dropping dime here. I'm sure he says this publicly, like, the Xtaz guy, there's a reason you haven't seen him do interviews, by the way, fans, because he'll just say he doesn't like to speak English. He doesn't feel comfortable, you know. So, unfortunately, it means, though, that I'm not sure what a lot of the background of those guys are. So I didn't know that actually you weren't in CSGO. Like, I assumed maybe you were coaching like a smaller team or playing or something. You were really just like source, and then what were you doing in the meantime before you became a coach? Did you follow esports at all?
That's the funny part. It was very like challenging for me because like I was like, for the illustrator, I was always like very active. 18 years old, I'm creating my own club. I'm bringing some little sponsors back in the days to pay our lands, hotel, and do this kind of shit. And I was traveling my own car to go to Denmark to do a first international ever. Driving the kids with me, which was Scream, shox, and everything. They were like just kids saying to their parents, "Don't worry, I will take care of them." Like I was this kind of guy back in the day.
You were that meme of the Splinter with the little Ninja Turtles where they all grew up alongside him. You know what I'm on about?
Yeah, I don't know if it's we can see it that way now, but like I was very active trying to live my passion and like try myself. So that I did that on Source, and why I say that actually, how it came up. So I was playing a lot. Then just before CS:GO 2012, Happy came to me and we switched together on CS:GO as a player. And I was leading, and he was saying, okay. I was helping him actually to develop so he could lead, and I told him, bro, I would stop the game and I would just retire. Which we did. We played together for a while. We were playing with Fixio, if you remember this guy.
Yeah.
We were playing with SF. If you remember.
A lot of cheaters in there. A lot of match fixers and cheaters so far, but keep going.
We were playing with Apex, Happy. I mean, this kind of GMX actually also, like this kind of guys. I was playing with them. I was in the meeting at the time. The beginning of CS:GO, we actually played NIP, which was Rockstar actually. That was Rockstar before NIP, like the tag they had on CS:GO Cup. Right. I was playing, going finals and things against these guys just at the very beginning. And then I stopped the game. I become a coach. I was coaching a bit this Happy lineup to Extensive. I did an international event. Actually, Richard Lewis organized this one. It was in Prague.
Yeah, Vienna. Esports 7 Vienna.
Something like this.
Yeah.
So we did that in the Corinthia Hotel. I think it was in Prague, actually.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went to LDLC. And then I just, for personal reasons, like I needed to work. It was zero money at the time. I was 25 years old or something. I just went into my life. I went to London to learn English a bit. I started to study a bit more to make something with my life because esports was not enough. I needed to move on because of the money. So I did that for 3-4 years. I did good things with my life. I was very happy. And then in 2016, Jérôme, he was actually my manager in 2008 when I was playing with LPK and Smith for the story. So he called me, he said, bro, we are coming to London. We have like ESL Pro League, and then we have Face It finals ECS like right after, like in the span of 2 weeks. And I was living in London, so he told me, yeah, just come by. And they just arrived in G2. They went final against Luminosity. I was like, I didn't touch CS. I didn't have any PC. And I was like a kid, bro. It was insane. I was like, bro, it grew up so much. It's so insane.
Okay.
They did the final on this
It was epic. Yeah,
that was insane. I was so driven. I was like, bro, it's so cool. I dreamed about this all my life. But I didn't follow it at all for 3 years, really. And then I went to ECS, same. I was there as well. They won, bro. It was insane. That was super cool. And from that moment, I bought a PC again. I started grinding again. And 6 months later, I was basically NV coach. So,
okay.
So yeah.
Because I wondered actually, like, as someone coming in after all these years off, like what it must have been like for you. Because if you come from Source, especially in the early days of CSGO, a lot of people don't know, but the weird part of this story of why French CS went into this dead end, where on the one hand, playing the loose happy style got them all those championships, but then this period you're talking about was basically the end of when that worked. Like, that was when they had shox as the in-game leader. Like, that worked for a brief period. And what people don't know is, it's because it was all a reaction to the fact that they didn't want to play with Existence anymore. So since Existence is like the classic example of that, the guy who wants like the tactic from spawn, and you're going to go here at this time, and I'm going to tell you when to throw the flashbang, old school way of playing basically, but it's very like strict tactical approach. When these guys left him and decided that didn't work, they really decided it didn't work, and so they didn't even want to ever do real tactics, and they wanted to just play off feeling and my aim's good today. So if you come back, it must have been a very weird scene to come back to.
That was not so easy. I mean, it was easier because I knew the guys, and as human beings, we were respecting each other a lot. Like we did many things together. So, and they were 15, 16, 17 years old. So the relationship was very healthy and easy for me at the beginning. But then proving myself on the game, understanding like the gap we had on how they were thinking, how it was running. And when I arrived, I had first of all to catch up on the game, because even though I had like 2K hours, 1K 5 hours on CSGO, and they had like the majors and everything, bro, it was not enough at all. So I could coach them because I was making a team back in the days. So you know how a team function, like fundamentals, how you want to run things, and you try to like at least like drive them in the right direction, how it should work, schedule, practices, so you can have an impact actually from the start. But then it took a lot of time and involvement for myself to actually have the full picture and having like a full involvement in the game. Like nowadays, I mean, I'm like on all layers, trying to have the best experience possible. And that's the thing I didn't have maybe 3 years ago, basically. It was very tough to combine. And then you are losing a couple of events. You do like some maybe edgy calls, or you don't have like your brain functioning, because I didn't like had this tournaments pressure when I was leading in many years.
Yes, sure.
And then the first events you can fuck up here and there a bit, and you are like, okay, whoa, wow. And then, bro, shox and everything or whatever players, they will not give you 20 chances. They will be like, bro, it's a bit difficult. I like what you do. I like what you bring. It's like, I understand we are getting better in the right directions, but at the beginning, I had these struggles also myself to adjust. But just I didn't give up, and I did what I had to do, and I'm very happy right now. I think it's working actually well. So
sure,
I'd say so.
Like, I wanted to know actually, what did you think of that? Like, now it's old school, but at the time it was like 2014, 2015 French style, where they went this sort of loose approach, and it was about kind of like the star players set themselves up kind of in a way, because it certainly worked for a time. Like, there was a time when them and Fnatic, they were the kings of like the very basic style of CS. He was unbeatable at one point.
Yeah.
Sorry, LEGIJA. No, sorry, LEGIJA. I'm interesting.
I think it's been proven that the looser style is pretty much the better style to play it during this time of Counter-Strike, I think. Just basically how teams like Fnatic played, or NIP, they were also not really the best strategical team. They were just playing very, very good individually. And I think that's what the French players also were, very, very strong individual players and well-rounded. And I think that the game was at the too early stage, that aiming was still beating knowledge, because I don't know, like during this period probably we knew about Counter-Strike maybe 30%, and today I think we're at like 80, 85. So that's a huge difference. And if you just focus and practice as a team to play this individual style more, obviously you'll have it's not going to be just like playing random Counter-Strike. You'll have a plan how you play it. It's like Vitality right now, I think. They play a very compact style, but pretty much, how can I say, very, very individual based, I think. So they're always running with 3 people together and always frag, refrag. And I think that's a very interesting approach right now. And that kind of reflects me of how they played back then. So, yeah, I think it was just a better style to play back then in the meta, and the teams were also the players, because also back then you have to consider there was not so many tournaments. So how many very good teams did you have back then? There was maybe like 4 or 5 tier 1 teams. Then you had like 10 tier 2 teams, which you have today like 30 probably, or I don't know, like way more. So the competition was also way weaker. And also, if you play tournaments, there was always like the same teams in the top 8, for example. So they are just way ahead of you experience-wise. So I think that the competition back then was way lower, and these teams were just individually much stronger.
What do you think,
so
maLeK?
That's why I think the style worked.
I think like a lot of players in the French scene, the way it was built was to always have 2 or 3 voices that can actually carry like they call it game sense, the players. This is how they say, like players that are really well thought, that know how to analyze a game when they're actually living, adapting themselves and everything. So they had all these fundamentals for many years with very games that was carrying through these things. And even though Existence was going away, like NBK has been like playing so much with Existence, shox, and everything. And even though they were like trying to fly by themselves, they were, without even knowing, like applying so many fundamentals, protocols, clear things about
they
how
just
to
brought
react.
things over.
And then like they are like getting this confidence. The level was, they were ahead also, like the set of players they had, like LEGIJA said, well, they were like on top of the game on the roles they had. So for a while you can just fly in, and one day they wake up and by the way, they maybe forgot half of what Existence taught them years before, because somehow it's like you forget these things. Also, they will not renew themselves because they play a lot out of confidence. And same, like what you said is very interesting. They play always the same guys. I've been competing every weekend against the same guys. If someone has an edge on me, to beat him 1 time, 2 times, I lose, like, let's say I play 10 times, 10 fucking event, and I will lose 8 times to Existence. How tough it is for me to actually come over these guys. And I really think like on CSGO, I was not there, but it's what I see from knowing the French boys. How difficult was it for mentally for all these teams to actually get over these French guys? Because you could think, okay, I got them this time. No, you don't. And next event again, and next event again, till the day they start losing. But if you check like the results, it went actually fall down from a couple of key moments on the timeline. And once they lost a couple of times, actually trying hard, then it was done. Then it was just downhill all the way. Like they could never like stand up from it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean there, because like from talking to these guys over the years, what I would say is this, like, first of all, that style obviously can work now. Like he is pointing out, like there's some teams play that. Like if I had Zebu, I'd play quite loose, to be honest. I'd just try and set him up and have people with him, like you're saying, just have people refragging, etc. I wouldn't be making it super complicated, like he's a cog in a machine because he's too good. But the point is, also part of it was tied to the personalities. Like I know Happy particularly. Here's the crazy thing. One day I'll do an article about this, and even though people think I flame the guy, it'll actually be an amazing article, because the article basically is like the first half of his CSGO career would be like an amazing movie, because people don't know he was the guy where all the rest of them didn't give a fuck about him. He was like the one who got kicked out of the teams, or when they made super teams, they left him behind, or when they brought him, it was like, right, well, you can come, but we're the leaders, you know. And so he had to basically wait until they all failed with Existence and the other teams. And then in that moment, he just sort of stepped in, took over, and had this amazing success. He won 2 majors, he switched players, remember he did it with 2 different lineups. Like, that's an amazing. So in that scenario, in a sense, being the guy who was like, oh, even if people tell me I'm wrong, I know I'm right. Like, I'm just going to believe what I believe, and I'm going to like be confident in myself, and I'm going to do things differently to other people. I'm going to have a different style. That worked really a lot the first part of his career. The problem is, when it came the time he had to do some changes, mate, the last 2 years, I mean, you must have known when you joined Envy. Like, dude, by the end, he had some really, really ridiculous, like, aspects. Like, I would watch, I'll give you one example, maLeK. When you first were in Envy, I remember I would watch them play online, and he still had most good players, you know. He would play online, and you were doing proper tactics, it was looking good, he was making good reads, and then he would go to LAN, and he would, like, revert to the guy from 3 years ago, and he's trying to make all, like, hero calls, and, like, he was, like, trying to be, like, a chess master, and, like, read the game, but he was, it's, like, it was almost like there was too much ego involved or something, you know, like, instead of just be a captain, you know, just let the team play the tactic out. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be a movie every time where you call the amazing thing out of nowhere that no one else saw. Like, what would you say about it? Because Happy's identity was definitely tied to some of that stuff, right?
Is it for LEGIJA or for me now?
For you, mate, yeah.
For you.
Okay. First of all, if you talk to him, you must have this conversation with him. I think he's one of the smartest guy I ever talked to.
He's a very interesting guy.
He's like, his IQ, I don't know, like I'm saying that's up to my head, but I really think he's like very intelligent, this guy, like a lot. Then he had some success. What he was doing great, and on the first part of his career, like having all the successes, it's like that was this leader having a couple of rules. It's this kind of guy, you enter the room, there is just 3 rules to follow. First one, you trust me, you do whatever I want to do. Second, this. Third, this. And
right.
And then you need to hold yourself when you play for me, like, and shox and BK and kennyS, yeah, they hold themselves. So it was working. And then I don't know why I'd argued so much with him, like so much. Like, bro, you need to work. Like, you need to. This guy never did any deathmatch, for example.
No,
like,
by the way, if people don't know,
like,
I'll just reveal a bit of info very quickly. Not only, as you're saying, he's not a guy who warmed up very much. Like, he would just go and play the game. And also, this might sound crazy, LEGIJA, he never used to watch demos. Like, even when he was winning all the tournaments, he wasn't watching the demo of Fnatic. He would just go play them. So, like, you can see that, in a sense, by the way, that means when it was working, he was probably a genius. Like, they probably had a great mind for the game. So, keep going, maLeK. I thought I'd just throw that in there.
No, but that's how he was. Like, I think he was, like, having his nice period, like, his confidence levels were super high, and he's very smart. He feels the game. He was using himself properly. Like, he could, like, trust some people. He had great relationship. For a long time, he had a great relationship with NBK.
Yes.
And NBK is a more structured guy. He's from existent schools, so I think it worked well. At some point, they were even in the same room for a long time, I think. And then they parted away, kind of, and NBK was still playing for him for a long time, but they were not close anymore.
Yes.
And it stopped working. I think, actually, he always needed someone with him on the server. I couldn't help him out to work more or do this much or watch demos that much when we were working together, when I come in Envy. But having this guy in the team that is actually like trusting each other, working together, bringing some structures, NBK or Apex always were coming and feeding Kenny with things. Not Happy. Happy was coming on the server, the game day, great composure, like reading the game, always being chill, trying to find gaps, and the guys utilizing really well the feedback from the other players. And that's what was working. And then I think he was hoping to find that back, even though you have great names like Streams, XMS, I don't know, Sixer and everything in the roster we had. That was not it. And I don't know where it stands now. I have respect for his brain, because every time I talked about the game with him, that was always really interesting. But he never did anything to really wake up. Like,
sure,
he never really like had this moment when he could change something, try something. Or I think same for his individual play. Actually,
yes.
I think he never really changed it.
Yeah,
we had many hours of discussions. Trust me, but
always lurking, always the guy on the opposite side of the map. Yeah, we all know the jokes. It's true, though, in a way.
So I don't know what else to say actually about that. It's just
well, actually,
that's unfortunate, because he could, as always, to finish up.
Sorry.
If he would have like work or find a way to find like this ethics and change his way to think, he would still play on top level right now. He could. He's
great.
He's not that old. He's like, I don't know. He could have, but anyway.
Yeah, agreed. The thing is, though, that also ties into something you were saying earlier, which is like you said there, that you described it perfectly. He's a guy who has like simple rules, and it's sort of like, it's like the dad who's strict. It's like, right, it's my rules, just do what I say, and everything will be okay. But the problem with that approach as well is if things start to go badly, and then those teammates don't believe in you anymore, and they start to think, actually, does he know what he's doing? Already they're going to not have the same confidence. And actually, confidence is the key word I want to take here, because like I agree with you. There's a couple of matches where if they'd have won some close matches, like everything maybe is different for the next 6 months, the next year, but those key losses just crippled like people's belief in him as a leader. And unfortunately, this is one of the reasons why I used to see in interviews, this is where I believe like the loose style has a downside, which is it's based off the idea that the players know what they're doing, that their feel for the game is right. So if instead you get into a scenario where you're losing all the games, if you ever went back and listened to interviews with French players, shox, happy, they would all they ever talked about was emotions. They were like, well, I was not feeling the game, and my emotion is low, and I got to get excited. And I used to think like, yeah, I know what you mean, mate, but that's because you're just playing too basic Counter-Strike. Like if you go and watch a demo, if you go and prepare a tactic for someone, if you go and know in a round exactly what you need to do, that's where you're going to build that confidence again, because now you know I've prepared, I know what I'm doing, I know what to execute, I know what the opponent's going to do. Like that's where I think some of what had been working before was actually it was harming them now, because now they're just lost. They don't know what to do, and even worse, they're looking over at their captain, and it's like, does he know what he's doing? Like it doesn't surprise me that the scene was lost for a while.
I think it also will have an impact on the team when you, like you said, that he continuously kept playing his style, this lurkish style, and you always knew where he's gonna be, and you were always aware of him. And since they didn't really change up their style, and obviously this all hate on social media, whatever they got, so for being like this lurker person, I think also it has an effect on your team if they keep playing like that, and obviously not winning games anymore. You lose faith in your in-game leader, you lose faith in this person in this case, I think. And yeah, as an in-game leader, I think the most important thing is being able to adapt and changing your game style. So
yeah,
I guess as a genius, he should be knowing that, I think, as well. But obviously, he might have his reason why he thinks that it's like that. But
yeah,
I think that
would have his view, and he would say things differently. I'm quite sure he could explain his thoughts. But I think it's also chapter. Players are shaping themselves, and they know one thing. They know, and they win, and they have great moments. How hard it is to actually wake up that special day. I don't know why this day you wake up and you will just change the way you work, and you will start to watch demos, and you will. When is this day coming? Is it really like after a loss, or is it like, okay, I don't know. Like I think really like some players takes time to realize they need to change. shox right now, I see how he's working with Vitality, the way he's doing things. I can really notice, and even on events before the COVID, I was seeing him watching demos a lot, preparing his game certain way, having approach, being open-minded to receive advices from people. I don't know, like you see people growing up, but there is so many games every year. There is all these things on the community, on Twitter and everything. How hard it is to come to a certain player and transform yourself. Like you are a human being, and some of them are able to do it in 6 months and like understand and shaping some stuff, and some others are taking years. And I think all the guys that are from the gold period and that played like 5, 6, 7 years the same way, it will not take 3 months. If they succeed to change, first of all, if they want to change, then it will take a lot of effort, and they will need like several months or a year to try it out and find themselves into the new system they will try to get. So all new players, by the way, bringing the fresh blood also helped so much the French team lately, because these guys, it's so easy. It's so easy to shape them up, and the old guys see actually, oh, that's actually not so complicated. No, it isn't. Yes. And then there is this proper emulation, and you just do things differently, and straight. Everything is fine. Like it's working. You are in the right direction. Just bringing new blood. I think that's the French team. That's the biggest mistake is this. And on Envy, I had Scream, Sixer, XMS, and RPK. Maybe we needed like all the guys that were more this young blood, like
the ones you can shape a bit more.
And maybe Happy would have do things differently somehow.
Yeah,
so sure. We will never know about.
There's actually like an interesting quote. It's about history actually and civilization, right? And there's this guy who studied like all the great civilizations, Rome and Persia and I don't know, Mongol Empire or whatever. He came up with this theory, right? That the moment that a civilization like runs into trouble, like they don't know where they're going and things aren't going as well, it's starting to go downhill. That what they do is they look back in time to like the last great moment that they had, and they try and find whatever they think like made them great then was, and they go back to it, right? So in this story, that's in my opinion the team that you joined when they had existence back in G2. That was like, right, shox literally once did an interview before he made that team where he just said he looked around and he realised like, well, I can't be the in-game leader anymore. Obviously Happy can't be, like NBK can't be. I mean, that's proven, but whatever. You know, like all these guys who want to do it can't do it. So he just said the only captain left in the scene basically is existence. So we're going to bring him back. Like we're going to bring him back and we're going to try and do everything he says. Not so. But when you joined the team was around the time that lineup clearly wasn't working. Like there was some problems with that team, right?
Was it this team with Smith you talked about?
Yes, he came back as well.
Yeah.
That was Existence, Body, Smith, shox, and Kenny.
Yes. So what was this period like, mate?
Yeah, it's very true what you say about history. I think they try to first build like a good group of people trying to do things properly, having like this just resetting. And the way they did was just getting with guys they were
familiar with, yeah,
and
of course.
Trying to have like proper structures, seeing where they could go that way. And so actually is it like competitive? Maybe not, but maybe it's a good starting point for them. And then from that, Jerome was having the key more at this moment. That was there as well. Just at this moment, G2 decided to emphasize even more like the management. Just before I arrived, and Jerome said, I think I will need someone with me as a pairs to have like a better structure so we can guide the guys. I had the easy job. Like I came in, I had a lot of power in terms of deciding about lineups, about a lot of things, how we can evolve and everything. Jerome did a great job before. We had a healthy group of people willing to evolve, and then that is why we could like do these changes, like and like evolve. And in 2 years, I think we did like some good stuff.
Because I wanted to ask you about this period, because this was like the end of when Existence was still at the top scene. And obviously this is years after all the problems they'd had in the past, you know. It was kind of his last chance. And like I say, it didn't have that much success. You had the one run, like when he played LEGIJA's team at Cologne. That was like a nice run. But aside from that, there wasn't really much. And that was all just before your time. So what I want to ask is this. And it's funny, because I've often said he was my favourite in-game leader. People always trash this guy and act like he was shit and he never did anything because they're just trying to like fuck with me. What?
I think you over-exaggerate on
yeah,
this.
I think people respect a lot what he did. And I think every player that is like watched up on national TV right now for one game will be trashed anyway. Like, and if you're like,
sure.
I mean, Smith was not so good, and then he had all this trash back.
Oh no, there's plenty of problems. Yeah.
So I just think like Existence was stuck in this thing. Like he didn't have his really high period as an individual for a while. He was on LGSC for a long time. He's coming back. It's quite easy to point out this guy and say, yeah, it's that was in the past.
Sure.
And as soon as he will miss a game or the team will not play so well or whatever, same again. So easy typing on the internet or Twitter or whatever.
Sure.
So it's just it's like, even though people in the present, they lose a game and they are flaming, I think a lot of people give a lot of credit to Existence for everything he did. I mean, from my knowledge.
For history, sure. But I mean, what the point I was going to make was I actually know from talking to a lot of people, even in this period, he still did have a good mind for tactics and he could still set up a team very well. But he always had one flaw, and it's actually the reason why all those French players abandoned him, which is famously, if he went to majors, something was just wrong mentally. Like he would just always it's like he knew going into the major, like, I've had problems in the past. It better not happen. The pressure on him was incredible because he'd gone out in the group stage so many times. I'll tell people a story. So when they actually played that one good tournament of that G2 lineup I was referring to, the Cologne one, where they got to the stage and they played this big team, and the first map was cash. It was this overtime game, and after that though, they got rocked on their own map, DOS2, and like it was out immediately, right? Because people knew that I was always hyping Existence, right? He must know that like people associate me with him, right? And what people don't know, one of the very weird things about Existence is, even though he's a very smart guy and he definitely can speak English, he's another person who believes he can't speak English at all. Even, like, he's one of those guys, LEGIJA, who you'll be talking to in English, and then he'll just be like, yeah, I can't speak English. You're like, well, I don't speak French, so what the fuck are we talking in right now? Like, obviously we're just, you know, yeah, I know what they mean, but here's the mad anecdote, right? So, because he didn't like to speak English, though, he would never, like, start a conversation. You had to sort of, like, go over, say something in French, and then you could sort of get him open a little bit if he'd had a drink, you know. So the night after they lost that match, right, where obviously I hyped them, I said they were going to win 2-0, it was going to be awesome, right? We get in the elevator, you know, when loads of people at an event get in an elevator, and it's like as each floor comes along, you know, 3 people get off, 2 people get off, right? Everyone's getting off, and then bizarrely, just only me and him are on the same floor, right? That it goes all the way up to. And he just sits there, because he just lost the match, remember? We've just both stood there, totally silent, and then when the door opens, he just turned, all he did is he just turned and went, sorry. And then just went out and just went into his room, like, so he must have known, like, what was this, like, what did you think his actual, like, was he too old school with how he was trying to do the approach, maLeK?
Honestly, to comment, it will be difficult because, like, I've been coaching him for really little
Fair
period.
enough.
We did like what? I don't know how long.
A few months, I think. A couple of months, maybe.
Just a few months.
Yeah.
And major happened. All these big tournaments happened. Me, I played CS Summit with him. I mean, not so relevant. I didn't went on big stages with him. I didn't build up like super boot camp with like thinking mid long term so much. Like, I cannot comment too much, and I didn't see him play on all CS:GOs because I wasn't there before. So that's actually tough for me to really like develop so much. I don't know him enough to comment. I have the feeling, but what I know is like as a competitor back in the days, he was better than me. Actually, he was doing things better than me. We were like we were like 3-4 leaders. He was a bit younger. He arrived after, and he just took over on the French scene. And then he finished in VatriSam. He did a great run. I don't know Existence on CSGO so much. We just worked for 2 months. He was a great guy, hardworking. But about the direction we were taking, how we wanted to do things, that was a bit difficult. Also internally, like how do we make this next steps to actually go forward? We could have keep Existence and build around him and still make changes. We could have like go with shox. I don't want to expand too much about why and whatever, but we did what we did. It's a bit of a shame because I think we were having a good relationship, and I've been happy to work a bit longer with him. But yeah,
fair enough.
So,
do you have any thoughts at LEGIJA on Existence's career?
Yes, I think just on the last bit that you said, like if his approach of gaming or style of Counter-Strike, how to play, if it was too
outdated or whatever,
outdated, I think you can answer it by just comparing them with Big, or with Big, like I don't know, with me for example in the lineup as well. I would say, and I think we can agree that GOP and Existence kind of have a similar approach to the game.
Agreed.
Very, very strict and very loose kind of, but everything is strict and they will coordinate everything.
Yes. And
I think that you can't say that that this style was outdated pretty much because just we ourselves had a big success with it. And even though you have to say and admit that the players that Existence had were individually much better players than we were in Big. You had the shoxy, you had the
kennyS,
I don't know, kennyS, MBK. These are fucking monster players that have won huge tournaments for a long period of time. Plus, they have played in a team very long together. So either I think that they just didn't have enough time, just because I think that this style of gaming takes the most time to master pretty much. So I think, how long did they play together? 6 months?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's enough. I don't really think that's enough. Plus, on top of coming that, first of all, in Big for us, it was way easier because we didn't have pressure from organization side. And I think that if you represent an organization like G2, for example, they will pressure you, knowing the fact that you have players that are maybe doubted a little bit from the scene and also from experts, I would say, in Counter-Strike.
You got to have results, yeah. And
Like
team like that,
Smith
yeah.
and Existence, they were not like the prime players that you want, maybe.
Yes.
But just because they had a history, they thought, okay, let's try it. And I think if you don't have pretty much fast success, that the organization will step in there. And that's what we didn't really have in big. So we had our time. They believed in us, and we didn't have to worry about this aspect, which is very, very unhealthy for a player, having in your mind playing games that you have to perform.
Yes.
Any pressure that you have and get from organization, team, whatsoever, is just a negative effect for you, unless you can thrive with it. But starting to thrive with pressure, you have to be good first and have some success.
Not much as thriving with your own organization pressure. I don't know that much people that actually carry this. I know players that carry the pressure of their own performances on events.
Right.
Like they are working for something and they handle pressure really well, or can even thrive with it. I know, and I see this. But coming from the inside, I don't know many people that get anything positive out of it. I never witnessed this in my life.
What, getting pressure from organization?
Well, yeah, when you have pressure for your own organization, it's very difficult to get. The best is that it will not affect you so much, but you will not pay for anything. It's like
the thing is, it's not like it doesn't even have to be that Carlos comes to you and say, guys, you have to win this tournament or whatsoever. It's just the fact you knowing as a player like Smith, I'm taking just as an example, this is your last shot.
Yes.
If you don't compete, if you don't win, your career is over pretty much. So this already is a very, very hard obstacle to overcome mentally, a very, very big one. And then you have two players like that. I think Existence was at the same point like Smith was at this time.
Yes.
So for both of them, overcoming this feeling and knowing this thing is very hard, I think. And even then, I think they did quite decent. And I think outside of Smith, I believe that with Existence, they could have made a good team.
Yeah, I also think so.
Obviously, I also don't know. I cannot really judge Smith. I don't know. He probably has his qualities, but I just think that individually, he just wasn't good enough, especially just because he had a 1 year break, 1.5 years break.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, this was obviously the period when maLeK really took over as the coach, and then they went back to shox as the in-game leader, right? We have to talk a little bit about that, maLeK, because one of the weird things about shox is he's done this so many times in his career where what happens is he has an in-game leader that he plays with and it's going great, but then when the results start to get bad, because in all his teams he always likes to be someone who at least gets to have some input, be like the secondary caller, we say it in English, if you have a good idea, you just throw it out there, let's say like every 5 rounds maybe you say something like, actually I think we could do this instead, or I've seen this in the game. Well, what happens is the people who do that, they get almost like addicted where, because they're only calling the round that makes sense to them, they start to think, actually, I should just be the in-game leader. Like, oh, my calls are great. Like, the other guy's calls are failing, but whenever I make a call, it works. And what they don't realise is, that's because they have the option on the rounds where they don't know anything and just sit back and listen to that guy. Like, they don't have the pressure of every round, So shox has obviously tried to be an in-game leader many times. I know when you came in as the coach, you had like a different approach with him, right? Like, he wasn't just totally loose, totally like I remember you were telling me you kind of like had a deal where like he would do some of it and then like maLeK would do some of it or something to implement your ideas. Can you explain it to us?
Basically, we needed to go forward, and we decided, and basically shox didn't ask to be the in-game leader, just so you know. But we decided that we needed to move forward, and I was looking mid-term, long-term, like G2 needed to come back and compete. And on the French scene, I needed to find a core, and like, for some reasons, I've been asking Richard, like, can we work together? Can I make sure that you have help? And actually, maLeK did great. Actually, for the story, like, even in ESL Pro League, when we had a great run in Montpellier, I think we went finals.
Yep.
maLeK was the leader, not shox. So I've been asking and putting a bit of pressure on Richard because I just thought he was having qualities, and I needed to bring these new guys. I've been bringing a couple of ones, maLeK, Jax, Lucky, and trying like to build something new, and like I needed to move forward basically. Like that was the thing. And So he said yes. That was not so easy. We had like some struggles because I really think he would have been happier having a great leader. Somehow we needed to move forward from existence for some results. Who can do the job at this moment? shox is a smart guy. If I work well with him, and if maLeK is helping, we can maybe start from there, and we will see how it goes. So yeah, like basically that was the toughest part, honestly. Just get the things rolling and start the process and see what we will need, and just move forward. And what do we need? And move forward. And what do we need? And like build up. And the core is creating. And now an identity will get out of it. And then you can rely on some people. And then you are like, and nowadays I feel really well in my team, and I know what I expect from each individual, and I know why I have this person or the other person and whatever. But I needed to start from somewhere. So it's a bit clashing with the fact that I actually joined you on this one. I didn't maybe wish, oh, super cool, I really want shox to lead, and him either. But we needed to start from somewhere. So
Yes.
for this reason, we did it actually. If it
Duncan,
makes sense, I don't know if it's clear enough. If you have questions, I don't know. But
question to you, Duncan. Don't you agree that shox should have called? Or would you have seen him not being a caller, rather?
The problem is, it depends on what he wants for his game. Here's my problem with shox as an in-game leader. If he can tell me he'll be the in-game leader, but then also in the server he's going to be the shoxy you were talking about before, like one of the best players in the world, like win all the clutches. I don't mind. Let's make it work. Like I'll find a way to get the players to make it. But the problem I had was at this period of time is when his individual game was also kind of lost a little bit, and so doing both at the same time, if you're not a really, really great in-game leader, that's the tough part for me. It's like you're gonna kind of just be like okay at both parts, you know. So that's the tough part. Like if you're like, it's actually one of the problems I have with Nico and FaZe. It's like he did the playing part great, like yeah, playing amazing, but he never got. It's like that's the tough part. That's why I personally don't think star players should usually be in-game leaders. I think it's a very rare person that can do both at the same time, you know? What do you think?
I'm interested in knowing what LEGIJA, I think.
Yeah.
Because we don't know the same guys. Let's move away from the French scene. What is your take
Yeah,
on
what do you
this?
think?
Can a star player do? Because what is Pederson not a star player?
Objectively speaking, if I'd ask you who should be the next French in-game leader after existence 5 years ago, who would you say it should be? Would you say it was shoxy? Or do you think like MPK? I don't know. For me, it would directly be shoxy. Why? Overall, most well-rounded player.
Sure.
Insanely smart. And you can see in his game that he's a very, very smart person.
I know where you're going now, mate. Here's the
me.
problem. This is the tough part. This is why, like, actually, you do have to kind of like know some of the people behind the scenes to know how they think. The problem with shoxy is this, right? This is going to sound rude. Whatever. It's my entire fucking persona, so I'm good at it, right? If you watch him in the server, like you're watching him play a clutch round, or you're watching him, like the classic used to be, whenever they would play Dust 2 T-side, he would just go mid and he would always make the perfect read. He would always catch the flanker, he would kill the guy at catwalk, he would rotate, like he looked like he was just a chess master. But the problem is, if you ever talk to him, he's not actually doing all that like calculated. He's not thinking like, right, at this timing there's going to be a guy. It's just feel. He has the best intuition I have ever seen in CS. So the problem with that is, if you're just going off your feel, it's going to be hard to explain to the other players why they should do something this time. It's going to be hard to set up a structure, you know, like you're kind of just in the moment. It's like artist versus scientist, if you get my analogy.
But don't you think it's a good how would I call it?
Starting place?
It's a good quality.
It's a good quality to
Of
have.
course, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there's another problem I got to chuck in. Let me.
I will be the bridge. I will be the
Yeah, go
bridge
on.
guy in these two things because I know shox.
Why
And-
I say? Oh, sorry.
sorry.
Keep
No,
going.
I can be the bridge between you guys because you are both right somehow. I think the set of quality that Thorin you are talking about is actually great for a leader to
Sure.
feel the game. But like that doesn't mean that the guy will have the capacity of communication of
Yes.
like of the consistency to like think for not himself but the other guys.
Yes.
Or like if you want the guys to perform well, you will have pre-game maybe to okay guys I would like to go this way or do these things or whatever, and to get the most of his players basically. And if it's just out of the feeling and it's just happening on the server in game, this is like difficult for the other guys to follow up. Because even though he's super smart, even though his calling is great, because bro, on TeamSpeak I'm listening, I'm like,
Okay.
this is a good call, like many times, many times. And I have Nexa, I had shox, I had Happy, I had Existence. Shox did amazing calls, but people have to understand follow up. You are out of timing, and then also the patience, because he will maybe not understand why they don't understand what I want, why they don't catch it. Like so, it's also on the set of qualities, understanding that other guys are not on the same level as you on the understanding and are not clicking it directly. So basically, the set of quality shox has, it's a great asset for a leader, but if you don't have the rest of the package to actually like make it something that you can share and prepare and like actually go forward, it's making things difficult. And if you are not that patient, how do you do with this set of quality? I don't know what you think about LEGIJA, but it's
For me, to answer the question, should a star player be an in-game leader? I think there's different. It's depending on what kind of star player are you. I think shox is a well-rounded star player, like all-rounder. He can just basically do anything. But on the other side, like if I take a star player like Nico or Simple, who I think that have way other stronger qualities than being like communicating with the team too much or like moving players or mid-round calling or whatsoever. I think these players that are superstar players, have a way different role. And now, if I say, for example, Shoxy, you have everything that the in-game leader needs to have. He has anything. He will have the most respect from every single player that he has in his team, which is a very, very important thing and very hard to call if you don't have trust from every player. He has been mid-round calling, which is another very important thing. Means he has communication skills. He reads the game well. He has everything. And plus, whilst you mid-round call, obviously you're also focusing on the game and trying to play chess with your opponent, which means he did frag whilst mid-round calling or being the second caller, which means he can also obtain his individual performance if he's an in-game leader. So I think he's one of these star players that I would say he can be the in-game leader. Another guy who I could consider or say that he should or could call in future is Flusher.
Yes.
I think I put these two guys in the kind of same box-ish.
Yes.
I think he did with Cloud9 a bit.
Flusher did it a little bit with Cloud9, and he also did it, if you remember when Pronax left and they had those like tournaments they won in a row before Olaf dropped off. He was doing it a bit there. No, here's the thing. I know what you mean. He's a rare example who could do it. Here's the other issue though, because it kind of ties into what maLeK was saying. This is another problem, is shox is another person. Remember, it wasn't just Happy. A lot of those guys, when they had the loose style, they also didn't like to do like hard work outside the server. Like shoxy wasn't going to watch like 10 demos for every game and stuff. You know, he was going to watch a couple. He knows the basics. And another problem is, like maLeK's saying, maybe in the moment he has exactly the right call. But the problem is, let's say, for example, let's take this lineup that they had here. Let's say someone like Jax, who actually barely ever played at the top level, or a Body himself only a couple of years in the game. Maybe they don't know what the call means though. Like, they don't it's like if I tell you, go and get me this. It's like, if you know where the shop is and what the item is and how to get, okay, easy. But if you don't know all those things, I'm taking for granted that you know how to go and get me that thing. So another problem is, if you've ever heard shox when he gives like the pre-game speech, if I get in your boy God B or I get in Existence, right, their pre-game speech is like a football coach. It's like, right, guys, here's what I want you to focus on this map. Like, we're going to have to watch out for them rotating at this area. Like, let's try and work slow at this. Like, shox's pre-game speech was like a hype speech. It was like, right, hey guys, like, let's all be on the same page. Like, let's fight together. Like, let's keep energy up. And like, that's good, but like, that's not going to help you with the tactics necessarily. That's like for feeling. That's for like atmosphere. Yeah. I agree. Basically, if he'd had like the work ethic where he just wanted to change tomorrow and only be an in-game leader, I'm sure maLeK could help him learn these skills, but he also never did this thing for a long time. If you notice, he tends to be an in-game leader for like 6 months and then someone else takes over again. So this is a topic that we brought up many times on this show, but if you want to go tactically, there's a reason why the great in-game leaders have done that role for like 10 years, and they tend to have like 1 or 2 teammates they keep together for a long time. It's like, it just makes it easier to update the playbook and to keep it going, etc.
The thing we don't say is like, he also needs to want to do it. Sometimes you don't really want to do it. You think you want, but you you don't really.
I don't
want-
accept that. I don't accept that. If I
That's
am a
why-
shox, I would
Yeah.
not. I don't accept that I call myself shox, and I don't have the balls to say I have to be this person that has to lead the next French best team. I'm sorry. If you're
Yeah.
shox, you have to be this guy. You have to. Sooner or later, you have to.
I know what you
Maybe it
mean,
was not
LEGIJA.
his time. It was not his time. It's like in football. Like I think, like there will be always this next guy who will have to lead the next generation or the next team to
They are
victory.
in Vitality now. I think he's having a big voice. He's not officially leading.
Yes.
Apex
Apex
is.
is yes.
Apex is a hard worker. He's like I don't know him well enough on CS:GO, so I don't want to talk too much. But I know he's a hard worker that is always here. He will not like just fade away or something. He will be here
Yeah.
for his team. He is a fighter. Okay, that I know. And shox can also brings all his set of qualities with him. Also having all of his codings, it seems to fit him better. He also maybe wants to focus on his game, and right now I don't know. I don't speak with them right now.
No, I just did
But,
a show recently with Apex.
shox
What
is
you're saying is
actually
correct. Yeah.
showing up, and I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that a lot of coding mid rounds can come from him right now. Like actually, so about the title, like I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm biased because I know him, and I don't want to say everything, but like he needs to want to do it. It needs to be one of his own objectives, because maybe he's not like this, he's just
Yes.
like, I mean, it's also a thing. And as Thorin said, when you are like a momentum based guy, bro, this guy could carry a momentum that was insane. That's insane. Like I've been witnessing things, I'm like, okay, that's just next level shit. But when he's on a bad day, you don't like to be on the sideline coaching. It's not fun at all.
Of course. Yes.
You have nothing getting out of it, and you wait the next day. Literally, you can't do shit. Like it's just like, and it's too much like this. But as a secondary caller, when you have the choice, every time you have the momentum, if the teammates trust you, Apex is here to put the structures. I is there, and shox is doing his thing. Seems to work better now.
Yeah.
He seems
LEGIJA.
happier actually.
What I want to say, by the way, also is I don't say that shoxy has to be the in-game leader, and I don't say shoxy will be the best in-game leader or will be a very good in-game leader. I just say, because right now I think he's playing a very, 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 very good Counter-Strike right now in his role that he's playing, and it might be better than, or he might have in this role more impact than as an in-game leader. But I want players like shoxy to be these guys, because they all have all these qualities, and they will have all what they need as a very good in-game leader, all the respect and whatsoever. They have that, and that's why I want them to step up, like stand out and just do it. But obviously, you have to want to do it to make it happen.
Yes.
Really. Because I think he has the quality, and he could be the best in-game leader the French maybe even ever had if he wants to do it.
Yeah, but I guess willing is part of it. And it's funny because what you said about him before we actually went with him, I think I talked to him like you are talking now, bro. I was like, bro, we have to make it work, bro. You are like smarter, you understand everything.
You
like,
want,
bro, let's work
it's
together.
he's sort of a player you want it for him. You want it because in the end, if you imagine it isn't the next step, you carry on someone's legacy and make it even higher, maybe make it even better than a guy who's like existence, who everyone will speak like even in 10 years people will mention existence as one of the best in-game leaders in the world.
Yes.
But you as shoxy, you have the quality to be even better than this person. You have learned from him and you can master his game even more. So
here's the thing, LEGIJA. I know what you mean, but it's also the difference between being, the famous thing that people say where it's really easy to give other people advice, but it's really hard to make the same advice that you even give them in your own life.
Yes.
Because, you look at everyone else and you're like, oh, dude, if you just do this, if you do... So I'll give you a great example from 1.6. back in CS 1.6, even though Forrest was like one of the most godlike players ever, there would sometimes be like whole 3-month period where he was just like, not much motivation, and he's just only playing the official games. He's only playing the scrims. He's not warming up. He's not doing DM. Like, in fact, if you went and looked, he'd be playing like fucking Dota or like Quake 3 or something. And the sad thing is, mate, he'd go to the tournament and he'd still either be like good or occasionally very good or just okay. He was never bad ever for 1 second in his whole career. But if you're someone like me or you, mate, I'm pretty sure we only got where we are in life by like hard work, like you grind, you improve. Like if we just fucked around like we were some rock stars, like no one would ever hear from us again. We'd just disappear. So to people like us, it's like, dude, if I had those skills, I'd rule the fucking world. Like, so I know what you mean. If I see shox, I'm like, of course. Like if I had his skill set, I'd put in like 2 years, dedicate myself, and then, because what I would be thinking is, if I learn the tactical side of how to run a team and combine it with like my feel for the game and what they put, I'm unbeatable. But as we say, you have to want to do that. Like if you're just, one of the other things about the French scene that you have to learn when you come into it is people like shoxy, kennyS, dude, they're like unicorns. They're just like mythical creatures that you just see in the distance and no one knows how they operate, how they work. What you do is you go up to them and you go, shh, come here. You bring them a little carrot, and then when they come over, you try and stroke them, and then you go up. Listen, if you go too hard though, they run away, LEGIJA. And if they run away, there's only 2 of them in the whole world, mate. Like, well, there's Zero now, there's 3. So listen, if they get away, then you're fucked at that point. You got to be really careful with these guys. What do you think, maLeK?
But yeah, like I think we talked a lot about all these guys, and they have this image, but they were building it in CSS already. And the beginning of CSGO, they have great image and everything. We know something about of them. And to get to know them, you need to just live with them and see how it is. And it's different.
Yes.
It's very different to what you can imagine or anything. Everything is true about the talent they have, how they are. Like, you can see that. And how many times I said myself, bro, if I would have this quality myself,
of course, yeah,
the best. But no, it's not like this. Like, they have their own ways, and being talented and thinking a lot, it's also making them, they are difficult. I know shox is very difficult with himself, for example. He always had this very, very, very fucking high expectations of himself. So same, how he would deal with that, how he deal with himself, how he live with things. That's his part of the package. Maybe people don't see it from the outside.
Yes.
Even you that see him on the tournament at the bar, they are playing against him. But he is all his life, since I know him, 15 years old, this guy thinking like it's going very fast out there, bro. And once you notice that more closer, and you have to sort out what he can do or wants to do or not. And anyway, I just think he's happier right now. Maybe someday, later on, he will go back to it. I don't know at all.
Sure.
But I don't expect him, actually. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry. I don't see him. I don't see him doing it.
What about kennyS then? Let's talk a bit about that. I want to get your thoughts here, maLeK, because I've known kennyS a long, long time, but it's funny because actually when we were talking earlier about that existence period, famously, when you guys were at that CS Summit tournament, was the one where Steel just got like triggered by kennyS peaking or something. It was like telling him like, bro, your style is outdated. And I was like, the reason I never commented on that is because it's like, knowing kennyS, like Steel was right, but he was also wrong. Because he was right in the sense that like actually Kenny was doing stuff like trying to take a peek as though he was like the absolute best player in the whole world. And obviously if the opponent knows you're just going to take the most obvious peek ever, like the fucking box on Banana or Inferno, mate, it's 2020. Like they're gonna, well, it was 2018 at the time, but they're gonna throw the fucking Molotov at you and the flash. Like it isn't 2014. You're not just gonna kill the wall in a highlight clip. But the way that he was wrong is that, again, like I said, kennyS is another one of these people, mate, who like doesn't seem like they come from planet Earth. Like when Kenny is on his game, he will hit all those shots, mate. So I also understand why he wanted to play this style. So give us some thoughts, maLeK, because the period you came in was when kennyS was actually not in very good form. This is maybe the worst part of his career. So he's turned it around since then. Like earlier this year, he was looking in amazing form. So what did we have to change about Kenny to get him back in a good form?
I think it's in his head a lot.
I wanted to say that.
I think it's in it's in his head a lot. I think he's a natural. He is natural, and I didn't take it in my team 15 years old because I thought it was impossible what I was witnessing back in the days. And then he had like this great career, great confidence. But same again, he was always driven by other guys around him. Apex for a very, very long time, showing him picks, what you should do, and blah blah blah, like everything, every detail. This one way, this pick. I'm with you. I'm telling you. Follow me. Pick after me. Do this. Do that. Everything. This Opera is doing this. I think he always had like good surrounding during his great form.
Yes.
I think he had some crisis moment in his young adult life. It was not so happy for. It was difficult for him to carry everything since we were traveling a lot, and I don't know, like it was just a tough time for him. He said it publicly a couple of times, I think. And when I came in, was like the lowest. He was like not feeling good in his life, in everything, not just yes. So it was difficult for him. He's not a hard worker. He's natural. He was not confident anymore in his game. So when you are natural and skilled, and you did what he did, he was even playing more, and it was even worse. And we had to reverse all these things. So basically, it took time. Honestly, it took a long time actually. But I think it needs a lot of patience because I'm getting mad with him every here and there. No, but it's love as well, I'm saying it like this, but because we have this kind of relationship where I don't want to give up on him because he's so talented. He's a great guy, but he needs to be driven. He needs to understand some steps, and I think he's on a really, really good way. And sometimes he will drop off again, so you have to be with him again, punch a few topics. But I think it's great now. He's working. He learned how he can prepare games. I can prepare games myself. He's doing it a lot now. He's having these tools that he's watching about the opponent. He's checking, I'm suicide, 74% of my run does too. Oh, bro, it's too much. I'm doing this.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
He's studying. Yeah, good.
So it's since the last year now, I'm trying to make this guy working for himself, like doing little, but that can help him. And also I try to set him up in the team. I try to make it more complete. I had different periods. I did not do that all in the same time, but basically he knows that he can play more passive and having more impact later on, because same, you can nowadays with the things you see, okay, bro, you have a sick entry kill in the first 20 seconds, you are very active on the map, but then what? You do nothing. You are useless, bro. And then you will die, and then utility-wise, no, not interesting. You are repicking, not interesting. Bro, we are 2020, it's useless. You have these talks, and then you will just see, and you will say, yeah, okay. And then you will follow up and improve so much. Now I can ask him before a game to play more mid-round, more late round, more early rounds. I will ask him to support. I will ask him to go crazy.
All right.
And he's responsive, and it's working. He had like a little down for a month after the break, a month or two. It was a bit difficult, but he's grinding back here.
Yes.
I'm not worried at all. You will see a great Kenny for the next 2-3 years. I'm not scared too much. I think he's on a good path, honestly.
See, this guy is LEGIJA. This guy is the fucking kennyS whisperer. Do you hear that? He brought the unicorn over and put a fucking saddle on its back. He's riding it now. It's amazing.
Thank God.
Because by the way, I'm amazed at that. Like, from someone knowing kennyS, the idea he's watching like demos, looking at tools, that is a big change. Big change.
Look,
we have this analyst that is working with us, because I cannot watch every game with him all the time, because I need to watch for the team, I need to prepare the next game, I need to take care of other players. So he's having this great relationship also with the analyst, and they are just having this tool, so he don't see himself really on the game. It's 2D things that they are using, but he's checking everything he's doing, every repick, everything, the plans we made, every game. Even though he lost during bootcamp, he's half an hour after the game is finished, he is on the PC actually watching the game with the analyst, every game. And you could never imagine that from him when I came, but it's actually what is happening, and it's helping him a lot. So no, I think he's on a good path. I'm not so worried, I think.
The moment I knew kennyS was at his highest low, I remember it was the London Major at the Twickenham Stadium. You've been there, Duncan, right?
No, I wasn't at the event. I was unfit. Didn't hire me, but whatever.
Okay.
No beef now. I'm their boss, so fuck him.
The fact that he came into our practice room and he sat next to Smuya and asked him for advice, and
Fucking hell, all
Smuya
right.
sat down with him and watched the demo. Like,
remember.
obviously, no bullshit. Smuya was playing pretty
Yeah, of
decent, or pretty
course.
good during this time, and obviously, you can 100% learn something from him. No disrespect or anything, but it's an interesting picture to see
Yes.
kennyS sitting down to Smuya, asking him for advice, and you can see that it was a big low time for him. But I also think I call it always the op syndrome. It's very hard for an oppa if he doesn't perform with his weapon well. It's hard to have a lot impact outside of it, unless you change the whole game how the team is playing.
Yes.
And he has to play a way more passive role. Maybe you put him more in an X-on-X situation, or in a clutch situation, rather than him trying to open the map or open the round for your team, because obviously he's not hitting that well, and it's easier to win an X-on-X with an op than opening the round for your team. So it takes adjusting. But yeah, it's sad to see a player like kennyS, but obviously you can tell that he's really back, and I'm super happy for him that things are working out for him. And I have another question, like, because you spoke a bit about like that he didn't really watch demos and whatsoever. How do you guys think? What is the best way, or how can I say? What is the best way to make a player like shoxy, for example, when you say that he was like a little bit arrogant and not really coachable? How do you make a person coachable? Let me say, for example, I like to watch like interviews from UFC fighters, boxing or whatsoever,
All right.
and mostly from their coaches. And I've watched now for the fight for Gaethje, that his coach said that his fighter is the most coachable person he has ever met in his life. And now I'm sitting there and I'm asking myself, how did this kid become this person? Is it just human nature for him? Is it his person, or did he get to this? So do you get what I want to say?
Yeah.
How do I get a person to be like more coachable and more coachable and more coachable? And obviously at some point I feel like you have to have trust, obviously, for your coach, and respect him a lot. But how do I gain that trust, kind of outside of the fact me knowing a lot about the game? For example, it's hard to, if I take a shoxy who probably has most experience than any of the coaches in the French scene, how do I still? I know that a coach can obviously get much more out of this player. He just knows more about the game, but there is other aspects I can get out of this person: work attitude, communication, and whatsoever. But how do you get this person to cooperate 100% with you? Like a Tyson, for example. If you hear interviews about him with his old coach, they say like if he tells him to jump off the roof, he will jump off the roof. And Tyson, for me, is not a person I would think, what the hell, he will listen so hard to this person, you know?
But
How
it's
do you
what
get
you
this
see
individual
on
to
his
that?
image, on his public image. But you can be the toughest guy here on the scene in terms of image, or maybe he is, but this guy will have close person in his very close environment when he is maybe the kindest guy with the warm heart, listening to everything you fucking say to him. And then he become Robocop again, and you watch him next tournament, and you think this guy is maybe not coachable. It's just like, I don't think it's related. Tyson maybe is not as tough as he is on terms of like.
Of course not.
Like, I will tell you why. If you are really a killer, and you understand at some point by yourself, maybe Tyson was the case, you really want to be the best, and I might need some help. You can still be a killer, but you understand that you're smart enough that, okay, I might need help. Okay.
But
And then you find someone that you have a great relationship with, like it will work, and the coach will have not much to do. But just, I will get to your thing. The other way around exists. Sometimes people don't want to be helped, even though you are great and having great ideas, knowing all the games and everything. Sometimes it's a bit longer. You need to find a way. I was listening these interviews that you did with previous coaches. You were talking about your ability about talking to people, know how to reach them. I think you are doing it, and you did it probably many
yeah,
times already. So it's finding a way, and also it's like proving yourself. I never had a great relationship with someone that was like a bit harder to get if I didn't prove myself. wouldn't work. And proving myself, not maybe just on the game, it's also on the human side, feeling that okay, he can actually open up to me, because it will stay between us. No teammate, no manager, no one will know. It's just between us, and we will find a solution. And I will adjust the way I will work for him. I will do anything for him in life or on the server, because some people need to have a coach, a live coach, and some people need someone to drive them on the server, to babysit them on the server, and you need to find ways. I think you, bro, I've been listening to you for 5 hours in all those things combined, and you have it. You were speaking
No,
about.
it's not like,
Yeah,
obviously I know the ways of how can I
yeah,
gain trust of a player, but I think there's like, I personally have never seen a guy like all these top athletes that I say, okay, holy shit, this guy would put his life in this coach's hands, you know? Do you understand what I mean? Like,
Yes. How do you get
this
that
fucking
trust? Yeah.
yes, like this trust. Not
Yeah.
okay, I trust him what he tells me. I know he's smart. I know he can explain me things in game. But if I tell you outside of the game, brother, don't go party for 3 months, he will not go party for 3 months. But if I
Yes.
tell a
And
Tapson don't go party, or Tapson doesn't party, but
Yeah.
just
I
as an
get your point.
example,
I
don't
get
go
your point.
party for, he will. Yeah, okay. You know, how do you get this? But is
But-
this, and what I want to say now is this, the player has to have this drive and he wants to become the best player? Or is this the coach has to put him this drive or talk him into this drive? I think there will be probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Do you get what I want to ask?
Yes.
Like, how can I
so
get this from someone?
Basically, some people don't need to be that much coached in that way, because they will be like pro hunter. I would say hunter.
Yes,
He's a hard worker.
naturally
He wants
driven,
to
yes.
succeed. He's naturally driven.
Yes.
Like bro, I need to retain him sometimes, even actually on some things, some topics, because he wants to carry too much of, and he can even lose himself.
Yeah.
As a person. So him, bro, I'm a happy coach with Hunter. He's working on his own. He's like,
I know
what he
that,
wants.
yeah.
And we had a team. After 1 month not being that good, Jackie wasn't speaking English, and he told me, Damien, we are top 3 in the world. I can see it. I can see that we will beat teams. We will do things. We were November 2019.
Oh, this is the end of last year. Yeah, when it was
and
bad.
he was saying me, but bro, in his eyes, he was full serious with me, one-on-one, not drunk or anything. It was like normal conversation.
Yeah.
And he was saying me, Daniel, I see what we are doing now, and I know we are top 3, bro. I know we will get in the ranking there. We will maybe not, bro. I know it. It's like he was so sure and working his way, bro. I don't need to do much with him. Okay, just keeping good relationship. Just putting a bit of direction here and there, and a bit of patience sometimes with teammates, because maybe they will not keep up the pace. Yeah,
Sure.
But that's it. Also, people, they don't know they have the drive. So you need then to be a very good coach to show them that they have it. But I will tell you something. If someone is definitely not an athlete, or don't want, or like really don't have the will at all, maybe you will succeed, but it will take 2 years, 3 years to get like little things, and they will not be athletes. They can succeed if they are great naturals and being like gifted, and you bring them like 15% of like discipline in their life or the way they practice, and you will seem like a great coach because you improve this 15% lifestyle of him, and then he's becoming insane. Actually, look, I will give you an example with Kenny. Kenny, if I tell him something, he's not the easiest to coach in my team. He's not. He's a great guy, great human being. Outside, he will do everything I want all the time. But on the game, he is what he is. And watching demos, how many times it took me? A long time, bro, to actually see. And it's not so problematic. He starts working, and in the span of 3-4 weeks, I see his level double instantly. I'm like, okay, but bro, now you see. So then you have this positive circle with him, and you are making sure you catch up. You're making sure like he will not stop. You will follow up. You will make sure you keep the guy alive, and you are like, it's these guys need attention basically. And this is a lot of attention all the time to make sure like it's always alive and you are doing the things. Very few are not coachable. I think.
I also personally think so, but the question is like, I don't know. I love to watch like sport documentaries and like interviews and whatsoever, and I hear always this like always the same names: LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, Cristiano Ronaldo. For them, it's like
They seen them.
they live this. They live
Yeah,
this. But
but
then the other thing is for me, do people like doubt that putting this effort in CS or in esports in
okay.
general, it does it really secure my life as if I put it in
Yes.
basketball, for example?
But
But also,
bro,
first we have proved that it does. First of all,
yeah.
you make good money and the future looks bright for esports in general. But when did the point come for LeBron, okay, to change his mindset so hard that he fucking everything aside but only tunnel vision basketball?
Okay, but you speak about individuals. We speak about team game. Let's speak about the teammates of these guys and how they are following because there is a guy like this next to him. So you gave a few names. How many Cristiano Ronaldo do you have on the professional level on football in terms of
Not
ethics
many.
and use driven? Do
Not
you think
many.
there is
Small
many?
handful.
There is not.
Yeah.
But
A handful,
okay,
yeah.
but do you still see some people lifting Champions League that
Sure.
are not driven as Cristiano Ronaldo? Bro,
Yes.
it's always like this. The truth is not like, oh, they're all great players working so hard. It's
Yes.
not true at all. It's not true. It will
I
never
agree.
be.
I know
Never
that.
be.
Yeah.
But you, Scottie Pippen, Rodman with Michael Jordan. I watched
Yes.
this
Last
Last
Dance.
Chance thing.
Last
Yeah,
Dance, yeah.
and what he did as an individual, that was him. That was a player. Okay, he's well surrounded. He worked with the coach. They have a great thing. They like everything is good. They are recruiting people. Do you think? Even Rodman was a hard worker, but you could say, yes, stop going out.
Yes.
No, they had to cope with what he was, and they made it work.
Yeah.
And so I think in a team, basically, to stay relevant for the show and for the people, I think you need a couple of these guys in a team to really have success that are setting examples just by being themselves. Hunter is coming every day. Just by being here is a lot of part of our success. I can tell
I know.
straight to everybody.
I
Just
know, yeah.
because he is
Yeah.
here on TeamSpeak, it's already enough. He is already like bringing a vibe. I don't say he's the smarter player. I don't say he's
Yeah.
the strongest player, but just him being here is doing something to others.
Yes.
And when we are on boot camp, he will come. He's having all his routines. He's very routines guy.
Yeah.
Playing a lot before, after, watching everything, doing everything for him, for teammates, telling me the last 4 pistols this team did. Bro, it's not your job. We have an analyst. I know I have the file. Yeah, but I checked. Okay, bro, it's fine. Like, this kind of guys. And then Kenny is coming. He will deathmatch because his teammate is deathmatching. It's like this. I just think it's just, if you want to be competitive on CSGO, you need a couple of guys like this. That's it.
Yeah.
That's,
Sure.
Obviously, they bring the drive of your team. They push you. Like Thompson was another example on our team. Like this kid works so fucking hard, you feel ashamed look him in the eyes before you come to a match and see how much he has worked. So automatically you will know for the next time, I have to put more time in. I think obviously they will give also a boost.
Let me take it. Let me have a go here because I've got some thoughts. So I'll give you a little story, right? So what maLeK was talking about there, the Last Dance, where obviously a key aspect was, Michael Jordan had this legendary coach. In fact, it's a coach where people don't know. Yeah, he won 6 championships with Michael Jordan. Yeah, he then just won 5 with different players afterwards. So like maybe the greatest coach ever. And the key thing about his coach, right, was Phil Jackson's strength wasn't actually the tactics and stuff. He had a different guy who invented the triangle offense called Tex Winter, who was his assistant coach, right? So Phil Jackson was more about like we're saying, motivation, get to know the player, like find out what drives him. But what a lot of people don't know, right, is the role that the other guy played, the assistant coach who made the offense. So here's a story for you. When this team of people came from the Bulls and they came to the Lakers that had Shaq and Kobe, but this is when Kobe was like 20 years old, 19 years old. They come in, right? And Kobe's heard, like, look, obviously he wants to be like Michael Jordan. He wants to win the championship. So he sees, right, this guy was Michael Jordan's coach. So he says to the Tex Winter guy, watch some film with me. Like, show me how, I look at the game. So Tex Winter was like, yeah, okay then, right? Like, let's watch the game. And then Kobe's like, right, let me just fast forward. Like, this is when I get the ball. And he goes, no, go back. We're just going to watch the game. And he goes, no, but let's get them our touches. And he goes, no, because what you I need to understand is, what were the 3 players before you got the ball? That is why you got the ball in that situation, why the defense... What you're going to learn is I'm going to teach you the game. And once you know the game with your skills, you're going to take over, you're going to dominate. So what you do is, what you're showing the guy there is, I'm not telling you to work hard because you should, or because it's the right thing, or because, because I'm paying you a lot of money. What I'm teaching you is, I'm encouraging you, if you do this hard work, it's going to literally make you win the game. Like, that's why you're going to, that's why the defense is going to be out of position, because you're going to know how to set it up. So here's what I would do. This is a random example. Are you ready, everyone? Go into the time machine. This is the alternate universe where Thorin's a coach, right? And I've got a player, could be a kennyS, could be a shox. Some guy who's really talented, but they're difficult. Here's what I would do, LEGIJA. I would sit them down. I would say, right, let's watch a game together where we lost. It didn't work, We had some rounds work, some rounds didn't. And then I would sit down with them and I would tell them, like, what are you doing, bro? Why are we watching your POV? Nah, we already know what happened when you were playing. Like, if I show you your POV, you're going to tell me all the excuses. Guy just got lucky there. You only just missed a little bit. The guy threw a bad flash. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch only how you played from the team point of view of all the people who killed you. And we're going to show that, like, so if I show you got, but he would, no, let's look what he did. Like, why was he in position to shoot you in the side of the head? Why did he flank the team when you thought no one could come behind? And what I'm showing this guy now is, I'm not arguing. I'm not telling him he's wrong. I'm just showing him there's other things he hasn't considered. And so here's another example. Another thing Phil Jackson actually also used to do was, instead of coming in like a lot of coaches and you show your team all the mistakes they made, you show them you made this mistake, and what you do normally for an old school coach is you just scream at them. You tell them, what are you doing? I told you to set up like that, and you were supposed to catch this rotation and you missed it. What Phil Jackson would do is he would show them the mistakes they made and he would sit back. He prepared the video in advance. He wouldn't say anything. And after each mistake, he edited a scene from a horror movie where, like, someone slits, like, the main guy's throat, and then, like, a guy, like, is running, and then someone catches him and stabs him in the back. And what he was just trying to put in their mind is, like, we all know we made these mistakes. Like, these were the things that killed us. So now the question is, like, if you're a player, okay, coach, how do we avoid that? So what I would also do is I would go to them, and this ties into what you were saying earlier, both of you. Like maLeK said, Ronaldo and Messi, the best players of the last 20 years, let's say. There's plenty of players won championships that weren't even half as good as those guys. So there's another way I'm getting through to this player. Let's say I have kennyS. I'm going to say, Kenny, you're probably the best AWP to ever play CSGO. Like, device, if I just put both of you in like a server that registers like AWP shots, you probably have a way better flick shot than device. You probably have better no-scope than device. But why is device winning these tournaments, mate? Let's look at his demo. Let's look what he's doing. And then if I tell kennyS, device is watching heat maps. He's looking where he's looking where you are 70% of the time on that peak. So you're taking the peak thinking, if I see him, I shoot him. He's taking that peak knowing that you're stood at the tree. He's just going to aim at you. So he made it easy. So how do we make it easy for you, Kenny, to destroy him? Because think about it. If we both do the same thing, you destroy him again. You're better than him. So the point on this is, like, I'm trying to, like, what I'm doing is I'm never telling the guy, you're wrong, do it my way. What I'm trying to tell him is I can see from your perspective why what you're trying to do is right. Because the key concept, in my opinion, in coaching is, no matter how fucked up it looks from the outside, on some level, every player thinks he's doing the right thing. Every player thinks he's playing correct. So I agree with him, but then I show him how there's a different world he's not looking at yet. I'm on his side there, though. It's the other way around. Instead of him trusting me, I'm trusting him. But I'm then trying to open his eyes. Like, look, all we have to do is this little change, this tiny change, and then look what you could be.
That's true. I don't know. Just like with the Ronaldo thing, I just think that these exceptional players. No, fuck Ronaldo, but like these exceptional guys like James. Like you see, James comes to Lakers, they win championship. Obviously, is he the only reason? No, 100% not. But I see, like, for example, let's take Simple. If ever Navi wins a major championship, you will 1,000,000% know Simple has won this tournament for them. And he's the only guy that, because I compare Simple to a James or whatsoever, just skill and stats wise. I don't say like work attitude or whatsoever, but this guy is out of this world, just like James or Ronaldo are. And this kid can just fucking win new games and tournaments. And that's why I feel like, obviously, the aspect of like a Liverpool who doesn't have a Ronaldo or whatsoever, they have a very strong team overall. So I don't know. I don't say like these guys will win championships, but these guys will increase your chances by so much, so much. And there's like just a handful of people that I think can do that.
Sure. I mean, I'll give you a very other quick example. That's why I say the fundamental concept, in my opinion, is that the guy is trying to do it right. Like, he's not fucking up on purpose. He's not like he didn't do this accidentally or whatever. Like, they all think they're right. And so here's the reason why I know that I have to get to the guy differently. Because you know what? If I was born with simple aim, I don't think I would be the person I am now. Like, the reason I had to improve and level up in my job and life and stuff is when I failed. So when I failed, I was like, this isn't working for me. So what do I change from that? Some of these guys are so insanely talented. I mean, think of the stories maLeK was telling. Dude, some of the things that kennyS and shox were learning, other people never become a pro if they don't learn that. Like, they would never be 6 years into a pro career, like, won majors. Like, these guys, their talent in a way has made them not have to learn some of the basic things that a normal player, like if some player who's a role player, like Xipnix you'd never even know Xipnix if he didn't do some of the things that we're talking about now. So it's also kind of like where you start in life is going to give you a totally different perspective as well, you know. So they're starting with so much talent. They have a different way of solving it. Like as crazy as it sounds, if you're kennyS a few years ago, if you go to the corner of the box on Inferno on Banana and they shoot you, your logic really might be, I just have to shoot faster next time. Now, me and you aren't going to do that, mate, because that's a stupid concept. Like, we're going to go positioning or utility. Like, but kennyS could actually do that for years. Like, he might be right. He might just go there and shoot him even quicker next time. Like, they're coming from a different perspective.
That's why I think also these players are always way harder to coach than others.
Put it this way, you know, when I said before the thing about Phil Jackson, it's a very famous thing, right, that a lot of fans used to say, he only won because he had Michael Jordan and Kobe. It's the other way around, you idiot. Like, that's the hardest player to coach. If you can get through to that player, like you're saying, LEGIJA, that's why you're going to win everything. Because if you can get into that guy's mind, well, the talent is there to win every time. What do you think, maLeK? You must have some thoughts on this, mate.
But I had shox and now I am having kennyS. And it's very true. Like, if Kenny is like not working, being emotional and being in a bad state, or he's just staying the same, he's not evolving, or he's not, we wouldn't have done what we have done. Okay, I don't say we won 4 majors like Astralis, but I think you could have seen him evolve a lot the past 2 years. And we did that together by doing all we are speaking about the last 20 minutes, like, because we are like hardworking, showing off all these aspects that it maybe neglected or not, or maybe he didn't feel it was necessary at some points, and then you just show him the way, and you show him that he can enjoy this. You show him every time that he will have success mid-round. You notice it, and you show the impact it is having on the opponent, on the protocols, the nades they wouldn't have, on the other upper, changing his way to approach the game. I mean, because we didn't speak too much in depth in CSGO in the end today, but like when Kenny is seeing I call it ghost effect he's having on the opponent. I give a random example. We are doing default on Mirage a lot. I say that publicly because we did it many times.
Yes, of course.
So I can share it, I guess.
Sure.
And I was telling to him, one of the first things I did to him, I was like, bro, you are doing default. You are top mid. You are throwing nades. And then you're behind boxes top mid on Mirage. So now I start to sleep a bit watching this again and again. And then you will just follow up the call. Okay, we come back A, we go con, we go whatever. What are you doing? Like, I mean, do you like what you do? Like, do you enjoy your life right now? Like, and when you have the best one, you will pick the guy window. Wow, it's exciting. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, bro, we have to work around it. So next game, just for the sake of between you and me, I will make a game plan when I will put you out of my default, and you will just go, just palace and show your fucking green weapon to the opponent. We will develop a default, and you will just show you up there. And then, you know what, bro? I'm like, we make some bet together on the side, and I'm saying to him, like, bro, we watch this demo after. I know I don't have a crystal ball, but I know, even though you are at your lowest and it's beginning of 2019 or whatever, just watch the impact you will have. You will see rotations, you will see things just because you fucking decoy something in Palace, not even killing someone.
Presence.
And then, and then we watch this demo, And then we just laugh because it's so true. People are like agitating on the side, like something is going on, bro. Nothing is going on. Just you went apps, you put decoy, you shoot, you come back on default. People are getting crazy. Do you see that, bro? So just fucking wake up. You are fucking kennyS. Sometimes you kill, sometimes you scares, sometimes you wait, sometimes you clutch, sometimes you whatever, sometimes you support because we fucking need that. Sometimes you take a fucking AK because we need it also. Oh, okay. I mean, it's very natural, and you showcase every time it's working, the impact it is having. That is so huge. And then he realizes, and then he likes it himself. It's like, bro, I'm impactful. Yeah, you are impactful, my bro. Just look, you didn't kill a guy on this round. Look what happened on the rotations. Like, can you see that? Like, are you drunk? Okay, so now we start working, bro. Okay. And then, bro, you build up. And now you see that he's asking for more, actually. So that's good.
No, dude, I love that, because what you basically showed him there is, like you say, you showed him how he doesn't even have to kill someone to literally like help his team win the round. Yeah, but think about that, dude. If you're kennyS, you think, right, I have to ace the team to win the round. You know, like that's the logic in your brain, because that's what you used to do, right? So I love that. That's brilliant. Because especially as an AWPer, like just the presence you have on the map is enormous. Like I've always thought the part that fans underrate about Device and Astralis is when they see him being super mobile, you never know where he's going, right? Because they're looking, right? Remember, they're not seeing what the enemy sees. So they know where he is at all times. They're like, oh, is he going to get a kill here? No, they don't know. The enemy has to think like, well, is he behind us now? Is he coming? Like that's how he's winning rounds, where he's not the one who kills them. Maybe it's Magus who kills them when they go the other side or something. You know, they think he's flanking them. They go like when you see that part of the game, that's what makes Counter-Strike beautiful.
Yeah. And you know what you need to do next step to help someone like him that likes aggressive plays. You show him all these things he don't know that is like it's a bit more passive, but you don't put him in a box because you also ask him to play more aggressive, and then he's like, more aggressive. Coach, you really want me to be more aggressive?
Sure.
I'm like, but I will show you. We are playing double up. Okay, maLeK is more passive, and right now we don't have a read. The team is playing really well. We don't know really how to counter, and you are getting emotionally involved. One thing that will never go away is your talent, or like getting out of taking a fade of a smoke and getting crazy. This information is crucial. I know it's risky, but how many times, even one time, you get 1-for-1, or even though you kill no one, and Kenny is retaking an area that is so stupid at this moment when we actually not like in control with our game right now, because the T side is putting off like properly, and we don't know how to defend. Why don't you go harm, and we like position them properly with the 4 other guys, because we know that if you die here, we know what is going on.
Yeah.
And we will gamble accordingly, getting info, getting space out of what you are doing, and we call it crazy, Kenny. So just, you know what, Kenny, let's try it out. Every time it's like getting difficult. And it's a key moment. In a game, you can do it a couple of times. Really, yeah. And I will help you out. Then we watch this couple of things. And a lot of one action, like from this year, it's just because he's doing crazy. We know how to set up properly ourselves. He will go, and things are happening. And it's funny because he's having fun doing it. And it's actually funny because now he's feeling even more responsible. So sometimes he will decide, no, it's fine. I will just position myself up.
This guy's a fucking mind games master. I'm loving this dude. maLeK's legit, LEGIJA. maLeK's legit.
Very good. I love that.
But so I'm working with him all the time. Like it's not about I ask you to be more safe or more complete or not what you are. Sometimes I push him, and he will even say, no, it's fine. And sometimes he's going for it because whatever, it's kennyS, he's going, and it's nice. And we use his information properly. This is just these little mind games. It's a daily work, and I'm very happy to have this guy with me in the team.
And see, you can just tell just by this conversation, I can tell that if you would have had, I can say like when you joined the previous NB team, the franchise, I can tell just by knowing how you as a person are and how developed your head and way of thinking is, I can tell that you're a phenomenal coach, because you understand that you can, as a coach, I personally think you can have way more impact outside of the game on your team than just helping the team inside of the game, because you have to shape this team to be a fucking championship team. One side is obviously knowing things in the game and prepare them for games and adjusting mistakes, limit mistakes, and whatsoever. But what is winning you the game is have a team of 5 players that function and work together and work as one machine, and everyone understands this one system, regardless of what the system is. If you play on the same page,
That's great.
It's the most important thing, I personally think. And plus, just how you speak and talk, I know what ideas you have, what that you just explained with Kenny, how you understand that these things make him even happy, and the responsibility that he gets because if he's doing these moves, oh shit, I don't have to do that anymore. These are so many skill points that the player can learn and a coach can show someone without even knowing the game. It's just understanding of how do I coach a player, and I fucking love that fact. And that's why we in Big always valued you as a coach. Ever since we met you in Mykonos, we always said that you have great qualities.
I appreciate the words, bro. Really.
No joke.
I appreciate the words, yeah.
And many people don't understand it because they think you have to have like all this knowledge, and that's why I also think it's bullshit to always say an existence would be the best coach. Obviously, he has the
Tactical
how do you
aspect,
say
yeah.
the things to be the best coach, but if he's a bad person or doesn't know how to make his players better and get the best out of him, then obviously he will not succeed as much as someone who has less knowledge of the game but knows how to make a team a championship team.
Sure.
That's a big important thing, and I think you have this thinking wise. That's cool.
Oh, thank you.
I like that.
We saw a glimpse of it beginning of the year with all these LAN events because the conditioning, we find a way with the team, with Jerome, with my work that I had with the players. We felt great building up. And I think Thorin is actually funny because we had this interview on Blast and you were like shocked by our hectic communication that was actually not on point. It's still the case. We are not the best communication scene. I mean, we are improving, but this is not, it's lacking. But like then with like all this work we are doing, these keywords, these things, the system we put in place, when my team, and if we are struggling right now, I have no problem seeing that and understanding the feeling from people. But I really think we need a good conditioning right now to function with the roster we have. Because with the right conditioning, being in the system, the machine is working as a unit. Even though I would not have the best player on the best position with the most experienced guys, we have been showing that we can compete just following these few things that we have. So we will see in the future, but I'm not so scared. I mean, it's really annoying. It's really difficult to get through the motions with the results we had lately. Also on players' confidence, it's like some work to do as well. So it's adding up on many layers, all these games online and everything. But like, I really think when we talk with the team right now, we are staying calm with it, and we will just. I think we will get back very strong soon. I mean, we are not scared at all about that. I think it will be fine.
You shouldn't be, man. Just look how unstable the top 20 even is right now, and. Teams are just becoming better. I think the competition is getting much harder, but I also just think that it's because the top teams are playing too much. And why I think that other teams are catching up now is, for example, it's so easy today to copy the teams. It's so easy. You just go on YouTube, you write Mahone CS, and you will see how does Kerrigan play B on Mirage, how does this guy play whatsoever. You just copy things, you copy execute, you copy strats, and you as the best team in the world, you are the team that always changes the meta and makes like a small differences in the meta, and it's just so hard draining and hard work. You just have to put so much time in, and it's easy to catch up. Back then, it was impossible to play a Counter-Strike like MTWDK did. It was impossible. You cannot. You have to study this game like
I can
crazy.
give you an example. We were like playing a day on Mirage practice and trying to get our Mirage with some new fresh hair, trying a couple of things because we were doing a lot of default with this roster. At the beginning of the roster, we had decent results at some point on Mirage. That was okay, but Hunter boosting window, you cannot do it every game or rounds. Default always the same timeline, even though they like to do it. You have also to make fields evolve. Some of our players are not really familiar with the map, so it needs a bit of extra work. And then we had a bad practice day. It was not so great to find these new things, making the team function well. And Big is playing an official, and I'm dining literally with my wife, and I have the TV and I have the game. And I see a round, and from T-spawn they put 2 smokes on A and they do a fake with it, whatever, super fast, super clean. I'm calling my analyst. Okay.
Copy this round for me.
Yeah, and next day I have a file, every players with the GIF of what is going on, the timings, the lineups of the smokes, everything. And next day I'm like, I was hitting dinner. I call, and next day I have a strat time. I was like, guys, you know what? I saw this thing from Big last night, and we have this file. They just have to fucking copy. Okay, I am Tapsen. Okay, I am, and you try, and you have this new pace round you never had before. You know what? We won a game, next official game, because of this shit.
Because of
it took us like 2 minutes, no effort at all. We went on the server 3 minutes. It was done and dusted. We played our own game. We changed the pace with these things. We made a couple of rounds out of it. And we won 2-3 games on Mirage because of this change of paces. It took me 5 minutes. I did nothing. Like this is how it is. And I really think all the teams got so many tools, people working around the team.
Yeah, sure.
This is insane. It's never stopping. It's so fast.
True.
It's so fast, bro.
It's interesting. I like that. I like that fact. I just wish that we have way less games, because I just think it's boring to watch always the same names. No. I said it last time, like back then when I saw on HLTV or SK Gaming that Navi's playing against MTWDK, I fucking was happy, like, holy shit, 3 days left until this game. Today, you just go on HLTV, you see all the best names, G2, Big, Navi, Astralis, Fnatic, all the big names every single day, and just, it's getting a little bit boring, and the game is getting a little bit stale. I think it would be way cooler to see less material and less things from the teams.
About that, Thorin, because for players it's also a challenge, and if we have difficulties right now, that's one of the topic. We are finishing a tournament. The next day we play another one, and we play the same team.
Put it this way, I've got a take on this. You know the old joke, it's a very old comment, but it can sometimes be real, which is, whenever a team used to lose back in the day, fans on forums would always say they were saving strats for the major, right? And obviously, if you actually play a Counter-Strike, you know that, like, mate, strats aren't like that. Like, they can't just put them in a time capsule and put them underground. Like, they only last a certain amount of time, and you have to practice them to be good at them anyway. But my joke now would be, like, if someone's doing bad in round 1 of these online tournaments, it's like, hey, saving strats for like the lower bracket, like 3rd match. Like, there's too many games. Like, the strats are old before you've even gotten through the fucking double elim tournament. Like, no, I agree. Like, put it this way, I can watch like the best teams play over and over again if it's LAN. But like, even then, I had like a very high threshold for watching like Astralis Liquid every week, But I understand certainly if you want like fans to be into it, there's got to be like time for the storyline to sort of marinate. You've got to like have time, like as we're saying, if someone comes up with something brilliant in practice, okay, maybe the team who played them has an idea what they did, but the guys in the next official don't know because they haven't gone to the next LAN tournament. So I agree, I think it's a problem. This video was kindly supported by Dean Tanglis, Pronogo, Alexander Rao, Andreas Kroknes, ErikHillestad, Hades, JDubs, the Puyallup Tribe, Tobias Bernasconi, VatriSam, Xinged, James Pederson, and as always, a special thanks goes out to my boy Jerky's Minion. Would you like to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? Do you want to ask a question in my monthly video AMA? Do you want teasers? See who the upcoming guests are going to be? Maybe you'd like to take part in one of those monthly donated discussions with me about esports. Well, put your money where your mouth is and join the Scrilluminati today in the Patreon link in the description box below.